Pulled over for a break on the way to Melbourne. From Sydney, at a truck stop. No street lights or anything. Pitch black. No other trucks or cars at the stop. I turn off my lights. I switch the truck off, do the curtains, lock the truck from both sides, jump into bed, set my alarm and set my phone above me in the compartment. I was rolling over from side to side for around 5 to 10 minutes. Couldn't get to sleep due to it being prime summer temperatures reaching around 30 degrees at night. I'm looking up at the ceiling, mentally planning out the day ahead. Suddenly, the passenger side door opens up slightly. Cabin light turns on. Now, the truck is fairly a late model and in pristine condition, so there's no question about door being faulty or anything. I just sat there for what felt like eternity, expecting someone to come up and see me, sitting there with the solid rod in my hand that we use for tightening belts. No one came up, nor was there any noise at all. Just quiet, eerie silence. I grabbed my torch and jumped down, walked around the truck. No other trucks were around, nor were there any cars. It was just me and my fully loaded B-double. After around 5-10 minutes of getting with, I locked up and went to bed again. Woke up next morning, yawned, fixed myself up along with the bed, opened the curtains, and fumble. There's a cemetery next to the stop where I parked. Hunger and laziness all escaped upon realization. Grabbed keys, putting shoes on, putting pants on, switch truck on, and leave there as soon as possible. My brother was a truck driver in the 90s, early 2000s. He just told me this story a few months ago. He was driving through Pennsylvania on way back to NJ. He pulled over the side of the road behind 2 other trailers. In the early morning, he heard someone bang on his right door. He quickly jumps from the sleeping compartment and grabs his bat. As he looks out the window, there's no one there, but now there's a bang on the left side. Freaked out, he looks out that window, and there's nothing but silence now. He's trying to figure out what is going on. Seconds later, banging on both doors simultaneously. He said the banging was so loud and heavy the truck was shaking. Both curtains open. He can see there's no one out there. He quickly jumps in the driver's seat and starts the truck. He sees the other 2 trucks ahead of him do the same. He said he felt as if they all had experienced the same thing. An uncle used to drive a lot, and he always came back with the most weirdest stories ever. It seems, once he drove to Chile, he had a contract, and the weather was okay. Whenever he was done, he usually spent a few bucks on booze, but this time, due to a family gathering, he wanted to come back as soon as possible. So instead of drinking in some bar, he decided to sleep a bit at the Atacama Desert. Well, it's a desert, and he had parked way outside the road and a few miles before the next village. He sleeps and wakes up on someone singing. He is confused and thinks it's the radio, but the radio is not on. Then the singing stops, and it sounds more like a scream of help. That's when he wants to get out and help. But still, he is confused. He said he started the motor and the lights to see where and who was there. He also did open the window a bit and yelled, asking what happened. It was nothing. And right then, when he decides to get out anyway, he catches a movement in the corner of where the lights end. It looked like a woman, but the face was pitch dark. He freaks out and drives away, non-stop until he reached home. Whatever he saw or thought he saw, every time he told the story, his face went pale. Even my grandmother commented how he was usually a very jolly guy, but whatever happened in the Atacama Desert freaked him totally out. Nothing huge. But I once was stopped by a train in Calumet City. Probably 2 or 3, and it's a kind of the ghetto area, so I was a little uneasy being there at that time. The company I was delivering to was at a dead end, just after the tracks. Of course, there wasn't anyone around. Just me. I sat parked for like 5 minutes, waiting on the train, and all of a sudden I heard loud knocking on my door, like rapidly to get my attention. I have a day cab, so I looked all around the truck through the windows and mirrors. Nobody. The road was wide enough that I would have totally seen someone run away after doing it. I'm sure it was something not on this plane. And I accept that. I'm sure people had been killed in that area at some point in the past. A truck driver who routinely does midnight runs. He told me that one night he getting ready to park in a lot next to a truck stop. He said it looked like there was no lights, no cars, no sign of anyone, but he said screw it. He was tired. He woke up the next morning parked on the side of the road with 3 highway patrol vehicles behind him. He was about 15 miles away from the truck stop he parked at. Thing is, he was sleeping in his camper the whole night. He has no idea how he got on the side of the road, and logic says someone tried stealing the truck and succeeded. And the police convinced him of this happening, as they saw a man in a black jumpsuit running away from his truck into a nearby field. Even then, he still feels uneasy about the whole situation. Apparently, the doors were still locked from the inside, and there was no real sign of anyone trying to break in. Subscribe for more horror stories.